How's it going? Welcome back, my beautiful sinners, to another great video here on the Savior Show. Yes, that's right, welcome back, my beautiful boys. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you go down below and subscribe, or I will summon the powers of the magical Tom Bombadillo to come to your house at 5 AM in the morning. Yeah, you don't want that, okay? Go check out my music on Spotify, I would appreciate it so much, and join the channel today. Please do. You know, this is a great community, and I'm sure you will have a good time if you do join the channel. Now, today, boys, I just wanted to give you my quick review of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, the new Amazon TV show. Now, I did talk about this, a couple of months ago before it released, and I had mixed feelings about it because, like many people did, most things nowadays have been absolutely diluted by corporations, just milking the things from our childhood and just, we can't think of original new ideas anymore. We just have to keep on rehashing and, just bringing back old dead things from the past, just like we did with Star Wars, just like we did with Ghostbusters, just like we did with Terminator, just like we did with Jurassic Park, just like we did with absolutely everything, because modern day media and Hollywood and these big studios are all dying. I grew up in the countryside, so, I was a bit of a weirdo and I didn't have that many things to do, so I loved to play pretend Lord of the Rings, go out into nature and pretend I was a hobbit. Actually, I didn't have to pretend because I'm actually only 5'4", but I digress. Lord of the Rings means so much to me. The extended edition of Lord of the Rings is just an absolute masterpiece. For cinematography, everything being actual, real actors and using, miniatures and, painstakingly building up these cities as miniature figures and filming it, doing all of these different camera tricks to get the hobbits and Gandalf to scale, not using any bullshit CGI, of course a bit, but they put so much love and attention into these movies, and the music is just fantastic. It's just one of the best things ever created. It's truly an art. And then Amazon comes along, the dirty corporate scum that like to milk you, that like to use slave labor, which has an absolute monopoly on consumer goods, and we sure love to consume nowadays. Well, now they own Lord of the Rings, and they made Lord of the Rings The Rings of Power, and everyone was already disgusted by the fact that it had an agenda forced into it. By the looks of it, it had a very obvious progressive agenda and all of this woke BS, and of course these big studios have to do that to virtue signal because otherwise they can't make money. Like I said, it's a new corporate currency. It's not actually because they care about social issues, because this is causing a divide, not solving it, and in fact I wouldn't be surprised if it was done deliberately just to make the culture wars even worse, which is of course insane, and I'm not saying they're doing that, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised because we live in a mad time and we need to come together and realize that this shit doesn't matter. This tribal thinking is what is causing the problem, and of course everyone is the same. We don't need this forced division in our entertainment, the war of the sexes and the genders and all of this micro-politic bullshit, okay? I can't stand it. Tolkien built up this amazing realistic universe and they don't care, they just completely destroy the lore, and that's why people were upset. And I have to say, watching the new show, I can't ignore that. A lot of it doesn't make any sense and it just feels out of place. It doesn't make sense within the context of the Lord of the Rings universe. But if I look past all of the modern 2022 bullshit stuff, okay, the agenda that's forced in there, is the show any good? I've seen the first 2 episodes, and I just wanted to give you my quick review of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, my honest review of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and my brutally honest opinion about this. And I guess you could say this is my critique of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, but I do have to say I don't think it's that bad, actually. So far, it has me engaged, and it's quite interesting. Kind of. I wouldn't say this is anywhere close to the original Lord of the Rings, but actually so far I enjoy it more than The Hobbit, and that completely destroyed the franchise in my opinion by using so much CGI and extending a story that didn't need extending. This is at least somewhat interesting and somewhat original. But I do feel like the characters here are underbaked. They've got so many different story arcs going on, and a lot of them you just don't care about. The 2022 politics and the agenda and all of this woke stuff I am not a fan of, and I think it's just completely destroying fiction and media in these current times. So I'm not a fan of that. But the main story arc is interesting, although it doesn't seem to make much sense. I'm sure there might be an explanation, I hope, but because in Lord of the Rings, Galadriel doesn't actually seem to care that much about Saruman and defeating him. She's just more, interested in just, taking those magic mushrooms and scaring Frodo. The amount of money they poured into this, which is absolutely disgusting, they could use that for something much more important. But, it does look amazing. It does look like a movie. It does suffer from some pacing issues, and I feel like what made Lord of the Rings so good is you would get these long scenes of just talking and dialogue and, basically world building and building up these characters. This show feels more like it's trying to appeal to the masses, and it's just trying to get to the action and the interesting stuff straight away. It doesn't give you enough time to kind of just soak in the atmosphere of this world, and a lot of the things it touches on, like racism with the elves and mankind and all of this stuff, it doesn't go into detail, and it's just trying to kind of prop up these characters like Galadriel, who is supposed to be an amazing and all-powerful mage in the traditional lore, but here she's just kind of like this all-powerful feminist warrior, when they could focus more on the ancient lore and make it way more interesting, but they kind of are just focusing on smaller relationships, but none of the characters are that interesting. So yeah, so it doesn't sound like I like it that much, but it is watchable, and that's a pretty rare thing to say in 2022 when it comes to media. It's not completely terrible, and what the show is good at is building mystery and intrigue. And the only last thing that I absolutely hate is they're forcing in hobbits, which doesn't make any sense, and now they're kind of Irish, just kind of gypsy hippie scumbag that pretty much I would like to sterilize. I'm joking. But they're annoying, okay? They're not like the original hobbits, which remind me of myself, basically just a bunch of dumb dipshit farmers living in Wales, which is where I grew up. Here it just doesn't make sense within the context, and they're annoying, especially the main character. She's just so annoying, and I don't like her. So yeah, I don't like that kind of element, just trying to, it's always just these corporations are just trying to grab you by the nostalgia and ram it down your throat, and it just feels greedy and dirty and disgusting, and I don't like it. But so far it has my intrigue. The only question is, can it actually develop itself? Will it actually go anywhere? Or will it cease to be interesting? Or will it fix itself and basically make itself impactful within the universe? Who knows? But that's my quick review of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. We truly need to bring back storytelling because it truly is important. We need, actual original artists with, a vision to give us these stories, not these massive corporate scumbags that are trying to push an agenda. And that's a big problem with modern day society, and that's why a lot of it just feels kind of regurgitated. With modern day media and TV shows and movies, it never feels like the audience has to think about it much. It's also kind of just thrown at you, which I don't like. And yeah, we just don't need that kind of stuff. I want something original, I want something thought-provoking, and just something that takes risks, but this doesn't so far. But I do still enjoy it because, like I said, the world building is nice, the characters are somewhat interesting, and there is a good element of mystery here. But don't support Amazon whatever you do, because by funding Amazon, you are not helping the world, you are just making it a darker place. But yeah, so far, but yeah, pretty tasty, not bad for modern day, but yeah, not bad. A little bit of a, do I sense a little bit of hope, a little bit of actual good quality? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. I also think Lord of the Rings needs to remember what made Lord of the Rings good, which is the slow world building and you know, actual interesting dialogue which makes you think. Basically making everyone feel like a goddamn superhero, that's not a good thing. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think about modern day media and Lord of the Rings down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Join this good quality media that I make and subscribe, because I'm not a shill. Not yet.